Tom Cryer and the Truth Attack. Tom Cryer is an attorney, and Tom, told a client of his who was telling Tom that this direct unfortunate tax on labor is unconstitutional. And so Tom said, "No, you better pay your taxes," and so on. And he wasn't going to do it. So Tom started studying it and turned, eventually agreed with his client that there was no law that required you to file tax, income taxes. So Tom, wrote to various authorities. He petitioned them for a redress of his grievance, and they didn't respond, so he stopped filing, and then, of course, they brought him to court, and he prevailed in a jury trial. But now he's started something called Truth Attack, and one of his activities is to hand out material at all the post offices on April 15th when people go to last minute file their tax returns. And so he asked us if we would let people know that this was happening and to encourage them to get in touch with him to get the packets of information that will be passed out. So we did that. And hopefully it will help get a lot more people out there passing that information out on April 15th. I will be in the morning. Okay. We know that no court has ever declared what the last 10 words of the First Amendment mean: the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. It is the accountability clause, first of the two. It was put there by the founders as a critical part of the overall balance of power between the people and the government. It's there for us to hold the government accountable. If they step outside the boundaries, we've drawn around their power, we can petition for a redress, a remedy to these grievances. They are obligated to respond. If they don't respond, we have the right then to withdraw our support from that government. Think about it. We set the government up, right? We created it to secure our rights. We've chained it down. We've enabled it to do the job we want it to do, but we've also heavily prohibited, restricted it, and mandated it do certain things. If the government violates these provisions, and we call them on it by petitioning for a redress or a remedy to these grievances, and they just blow you off, then where are we? We have a government that doesn't respect this at all. They violate it, and they refuse to be held accountable. That's not the government we recognize. I don't recognize it. If they don't respect this, then why should I respect them? And why should I continue to support them? That's the way it's designed to work. So that's a peaceful solution. How do we know this? I mean, Bob, what makes you so confident that that's what the framers had in mind when they put those 10 words there? No court has ever declared it. Where do you get this information? How do you know what was in the minds of those framers when they put those words there? It all began with the Magna Carta. Magna Carta is the cradle of liberty. All Western civilization and liberty evolved from the Magna Carta, signed in the year 1215. At that time, the monarchy had absolute power, could do whatever it wanted to do, viewed as God's representatives on earth. But something happened in 1215. The king was confronted by some of the barons who had the people behind them. They had pitchforks. There was this little bit of a threat there. And the king signed the Magna Carta. This is section 61 out of the Magna Carta, where we first hear these words: petitioning for redress of grievances, the rights of the people and the obligations of the government, set forth right here. It starts out, if we, the monarchy, if we, or anybody that works for us, if we trample the rights of man, if the people think that we are violating their rights, then any four, they can bring those grievances. Any four of those 25 barons can bring their grievance to us, can petition us. And they can claim, they can name the offense. They can petition us. And they can claim immediate redress. They can declare the grievance and claim immediate remedy, redress grievance remedy. And if we don't respond in 40 days, this is how important the monarchy felt, the government felt it was to respond to these petitions. If we don't respond in 40 days, then the people have the right. Any four of those barons can take it to the rest of the 25 barons, and with the support of the whole community, they can assail upon us. They can take legally. They have the legal right to take everything we own, our lands, our castles, our possessions, saving only our lives. They can take everything we own except our lives, the life of the king, the queen, the chief justice, and our children. Wow, pretty powerful statement. The right of the people. If the government infringes on the rights of man, the people have the right to petition for redress. The government has an obligation to respond. If they don't respond, then the people have certain rights. The right to seize everything they own, save their lives. And then, having secured the redress that they determined upon, they may, not shall, they may then resume their normal obedience to us. Pretty powerful. First time we see any reference in any historical document to the meaning of the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. Obviously, the framers knew in 1791 when they added those words to the First Amendment. They knew about the Magna Carta. So that right to petition for redress of grievances, from 1215 on, it flourished in Great Britain. It grew and grew, and people began to petition their government for redress of grievances. And then those people migrated to our shores and practiced this right. They claimed and practiced this right. And everything was okay until the end of the French and Indian War in 1763, when Great Britain started to treat the people in the colonies differently than the government was treating their own people back in Great Britain. And so our people were petitioning for a redress of these grievances for 11 years, until 1774. And their petitions for redress were either not being answered or, worse, the government was retaliating. And so they decided to get a few of their number together from each of the colonies and meet in Independence Hall in Philadelphia to talk about this situation and what they might be able to do about it. And while they were in Philadelphia, they convened in September. In October, they passed an act unanimously. The title of the act is Continental Congress to the Inhabitants of Quebec. That's the title of the act. You find it in the journals, journal number 1 of the Continental Congress on page 105. And in that 8-page act, the founders are saying this: we in this act are going to talk about all of the great rights, the grand rights of the people. And in talking about the first of those rights, what they said was the right to government based upon the consent of the people, they said this: if money is wanted by rulers who have in any manner oppressed the people, they may retain it until their grievances are redressed, and thus peaceably procure relief. It's a nonviolent solution, and thus peaceably procure relief, without trusting to despised petitions. They knew the people had the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. They also knew the government may not respond, that they don't like opposition from any quarter, and that they despise these petitions. So without putting your trust, without trusting to these despised petitions, people can peaceably procure relief without disturbing the public tranquility by retaining their money until their grievances are redressed, if the government doesn't respond to these petitions for redress of grievances. So the same people, essentially, who in 1791 added the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, the right to petition for redress of grievances, they knew what was in their minds. If no court has ever declared what these words mean, what was in their minds? Magna Carta, this act that they passed in 1774. They also knew about the writings of